So this week's bonus content, we're actually just going to be reflecting on the Providence series so far. Or I guess it's ended now, so we're just reflecting on how much it's affected us. But I wanted to ask you, Cara, how has this encouraged you, this series on Providence, this last 4 weeks?
I've really enjoyed it. We've looked at some really great songs, some of them really well known and some of them a bit more obscure. I really enjoyed talking to Jeremy Casella at the beginning of the year when we were talking about Guide Me, O Thou Great Jehovah, and how Christians should talk about death more because we have hope. But I've really loved just the reminder, especially as we go into this new year, just the reminder that God's still sovereign and that he's still in control, and that whatever happens, it's his providence. He's planned it. It's such a reassuring thing that, whatever happens, it's not outside of his will and there's nothing that's taking him by surprise. What about you?
Yeah, it's been a lot of things. I think when we look at hymns that talk about the providence of God, it's almost always in the context of us being on, uneven kind of surfaces, in the midst of suffering and trials, and why does a Christian need to be reminded that that is also a provision of God? Because like I said, the sovereign hand of God and his providence are two sides of the same coin, in that he is fully in control and he fully provides for his saints all that they need, and that's namely Christ and conformity to Christ. So I think I was just not blown away. I don't want to be dramatic, but I was at least kind of reflective on the fact that so many of these songs that speak to how God provides for us had this kind of sober reality in them, that we will suffer. And even in our suffering, even in the storms, that is the Lord providing for us, and that he does provide for us. I think I maybe expected to just kind of be reflecting on a bunch of God is so good. Look at the rainbow, look at the trees, look at the, kind of just like a happy clappy song. I mean, and I'm sure there's plenty out there that speak to the Lord's providing, but so many of the ones that were so powerful that we picked were songs that had this context, that when the Lord is, that when you're in the midst of something hard, the Lord is still sovereign over that, and he provides what's necessary for you to get through that, and to be more Christ-like at the end.
I really appreciated as well how a lot of these hymn writers don't say you're not going to suffer. It's not a question of whether you will suffer. It's a question of what you trust in when that happens. Absolutely.
So in all, I'm really grateful that we went through. Obviously, Jeremy Casella kind of kicked it off for us at the beginning of the year, as you said, and that we intentionally kind of picked out these songs. I'd be curious to know what we come up with next, but only we know, and maybe not even we know.